Use all my spelling words in a sentence? You got it. Obligatory posting on mobile, etc., etc. This story takes place in 2009 when I was in 5th grade. Each week we had 8 spelling words that we would work with during the week with a spelling test. Every Friday, one of our weekly homework tasks was to use all of our spelling words in sentences. As little me was sitting at the table working on my spelling sentences one week. My dad sat down and asked me what I was working on. I explained I had to use each spelling word in a sentence. My dad asked if my teacher specified how many sentences I had to write. She did not, just said we had to use each word in a sentence. This launched a half-hour brainstorming session in which my dad and I figured out a way to use each and every spelling word in one sentence. The same sentence. I turned in my one-sentence homework assignment the next day. My teacher asked me why I didn't write all my sentences. I said, well, I used every spelling word. I just only needed one sentence. My teacher looked it over and started laughing. From then on, our weekly homework assignment was to use each spelling word in its own sentence. I would do that. Then my dad and I would figure out a way to get them all in one sentence and write it on the bottom of my paper. My teacher continued to get a kick out of it, and my vocabulary is much stronger from the weekly brainstorm sessions with my dad. A+ parenting. Made learning look like a game. Wonderful parent-child bonding activity. I congratulate your father for being there for this every week. Bet you still have a great bond. When I used to assign spelling back in the day, I had many students who tried to use as many words as possible in a sentence. It was almost impossible to get every word in a sentence. But I've always found it interesting how creative students could get with the words that they used. Your teacher thought it was interesting, and it was a good bonding experience with Dad. Well done. This is adorable. Adorable compliance. In that respect, at least, you certainly won the dad lottery. When I was kid, I wrote stories using my vocab sentences. My sentence was, this week's spelling words are, quote, I was extremely lazy with my spelling homework at that age. My teacher actually changed the assignment to a sentence that shows an understanding of the words. Meaning, because I would just write 1. Ghost is a word. 2. Salamander is a word. I knew the words. And my teacher knew I knew them. So I followed the letter of the original assignment. I would love to see some of these creative sentences. Your dad sounds great. Only 8 spelling words in the 5th grade? Wow. Where did you go to school? I don't think I ever had only 8 words. This is just a variation on the pick any name and I can give you song with that name joke. The one I remember writing, from when we were learning some compound words, was, the streetcar ran into the scoreboard, showering the salesman with peanuts. This was about 45 years ago. When I was in grade school, we had 10 words per week. Just learn them. The test was done on Friday. The teacher would call out the words in random order. We had to write the word, then use it in a sentence. We couldn't put them in a single sentence because they had to be in order. And we didn't know the order until the test. I usually managed to write a short story in 10 sentences. I never got my tests back. Everyone else did. When I was a kid, I would want to share stories from the books I was reading, or this cool thing I did in a game I was playing. But my dad was always exhausted from the day, and would usually have papers to grade or something that just would preclude him from having enough to give to a kid who has as high energy as I was. So we'd play our own game where I would have to think hard about what I wanted to tell him, and Condense it down into a 2-sentence synopsis. Like on the back of a book.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.